We are all here today because we believe. We believe in freedom. We believe in those souls that have given their lives for us and for freedom. And as we speak today, if I may say, let's close our eyes for a minute and imagine from above, those souls are watching us and are saying, you haven't forgotten. So to all of those that haven't served, my heart is with this country that has done so much for me. And I can never thank enough all those that do serve so that our freedom are protected. Thank you for coming, and let's hope that this monument will remind us all where we live. God bless America.
I am so touched to be part of this committee, and I have a quote from President Ronald Reagan that I think we all have to think about every day. We have to keep in mind that we are a nation under God, and we should never forget that, and if we do, we'll be just a nation under. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Benjamin Patton, grandson of the infamous George Patton, who's going to make a flag presentation, and representing our committee will be General Ron Nelson, accepting the flag. Gentlemen.
We're arguing about the rank here. I don't want to say very much today because I appreciate that I'm preaching to the choir. You all are here for a great purpose. And I want to thank the committee and all the donors and all of you that have shown up here today for making this monument possible. I've sort of given up the speaking tour. I'm getting to be one of those really old guys, but nobody else is talking these days, so I've climbed back on the tour. I'm not going to make that speech today, but I do want to remind everybody here that we are at war, and we're going to be at war for a long time. A wise general, other than myself, said, our young men and women and their parents and families are at war. The rest of us are at the mall. And that's a sad commentary on America. The last talk I gave, I compared 9/11 to the bombing of our fleet in Honolulu. And I looked at what happened afterwards. We really went to war back in the 1940s and finished it properly. 9/11 was forgotten a month later. We need to remember that's the second time we've been attacked on our soil. Let's not forget. This is a beautiful reminder, and it sits on, as you can tell today, a very busy highway. So it will remind a lot of people to see that flag flying here at a memorial. I'm very grateful that the Pattons for contributing this flag. I think that will be a very historic part of this monument. I had no idea that this was the Patton family, and I'm hopeful to keep in touch and learn some more about the rest of the Patton family. General Patton was one of my idols, is one of my idols, and I believe he was a real warrior. And I think that this depicts the warrior ethos. And I believe that this will be a great part of a very beautiful memorial designed by a gentleman in the back of the hall here. And I'm looking forward to seeing it rise up out of the ground here. I think that'll be a great addition to the local area. Thank you so much for coming. Let me offer one last thought. There are 3 books that in my talks, I remand to people, to Americans. All Americans ought to read all 3. One is America Alone, written by a Canadian who happens to love the U.S. Somewhat unusual. The second book is written by a Muslim who renounced her faith, Kirstie Alley, I'm sorry. And the third book is Because They Hate. Kirstie Alley's book is The Infidel. You will understand why we are at war, why we need to be at war, if you read those 3 books. I hope a lot of you do know. I know our young men and women know why they're at war. Talk to them. Let them know that you support them. They're keeping us free, and I believe people think it's permitting, but freedom is not free, and we need to remember that. And please tell our Congress to start doing the right thing instead of the wrong thing. Think very carefully before you vote in this next election. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I'm Benjamin Patton, and first of all, it's an incredible honor to be here. I hesitate to lend embellishment to the ever-eloquent words of Claude de Botton, who I've had the good fortune of knowing for over 2 decades, and General Nelson, who has also spoken quite beautifully. But I want to say a couple of things, and I'll try to keep it brief. First of all, thank you not only to them, but to all the folks that are associated with this memorial, and of course the distinguished guests and families of veterans, both with us here and with us up there, and the residents of Newtown. But I'm fortunate to have come from a long line of military. There's way more generals in my life than probably most people would want, actually, but not only on my grandfather's side through the Pattons, but my mother has about 7 or 8 generations, and my own father was earned 2 Distinguished Service Crosses in Vietnam, and he recently passed away. But it's a pleasure to be here. And I just want to say first something that my father always told me, which will sound like a broken record, but it should, and that is to say thank you to the veterans. Because the one thing that he always told me is you can never say thank you enough, because you can't really compare the sacrifices of daily life to putting yourself in the line of fire. And there's no way to know it if you haven't missed a meal or heard a shot fired in anger. And so it's always important to say that. And second of all, I think, you know, I grew up learning an awful lot about war, and, you know, as a kid, needless to say, but I also learned through the legacy of my grandfathers, both of them, my ancestors, and my father, that really the purpose of war is to create peace. And we had this, oh, I don't need that, that's all right. We had this memorial on this busy corner, as General Nelson said, and there are some places where you want to go to Gettysburg or Colville Cemetery in Normandy, and you want a quiet place to pray and to meditate, but if you look around you, this is peace. And so this is what we're trying to create. We're creating community and peace and commerce, and a place where a lot of people can go by and not be able to miss something that's so vastly important. And I think that's critical about this, that it's in a place where people can actually see it. And all of us have our way of serving, and obviously not all of us are in the military. And in fact, in my case, I'm able to pursue my peaceful visions of life and the things I want to do in life because of the sacrifices, in many cases the ultimate sacrifices, that the veterans of all of the wars in our country have made, and the ones that are being made now.